Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Atypical Journey. Today, I have the honor of speaking with Madam Yvonne Denise Aki-Sawyerr. She's the current mayor of Freetown, Sierra Leone's capital city. Since her election in 2018, she has become known for her bold vision and urban transformation, resilience, and sustainable development. Before taking office, she played key roles in community projects both in Sierra Leone and abroad. Her journey is a powerful example of leadership, service, and determination. Madam Mayor, welcome to Atypical Journey. It's such an honor to have you here. I'm so happy to see all the amazing things you have accomplished, and it's a true inspiration for me.
Thank you, Namketa. It's a real pleasure to be here. Always great to be talking to other women about the journey of politics from the perspective of a woman.
Absolutely. We love to see women who have done it. A true real life example that women empowerment is not just words. We can do it. It can be done if we have the passion and the courage. I want to dive a little bit into your personal and professional journey before becoming mayor. Right now, this is what you are known for, the bold decisions, the leadership that you are showcasing around the world. But before all that, what is the journey that led you here?
Well, I guess in many ways, I was absolutely the same person because the journey that led me to being the mayor is what defines me. So from a very young age, even at university, I've always been passionate about Sierra Leone and making opportunities available to Sierra Leoneans. That meant that I got involved in a university program that created opportunities for exchange students back in the 80s when I was at university. When the war happened, even though I was working in the UK, I got involved in campaigning against trade in blood diamonds, went on to set up a not-for-profit that is 23 years old now, and is still doing work with young kids. Thankfully, my mom, I resigned from the board when I went into politics, but my mom was with some of our grantees just the other day, kids who are being supported through their education. But back in the war years, we worked with displaced people in the camp in Freetown when the war ended, built schools, clinics, etc., out of the city, worked with ex-child soldiers, and just have continued that journey of supporting disadvantaged kids. So I guess when you say, what changed, nothing, because it is that same passion that led me to step forward when Ebola broke out in Sierra Leone, that caused me to leave London on the 13th of November, 2014, on a very empty plane to go and volunteer for what initially was meant to be 3 months. And here I am, as my son reminded me the other day, 13 years later, I'm still here. But why? The why is the reason. And it is because change is possible, but it needs us to come out of our comfort zones and to do something about it. I have a TED Talk that's entitled The Power of Dissatisfaction. I truly believe that. If we're dissatisfied with something, we can do something about it. There's always something you can do. And the journey actually starts with taking that first step. So becoming mayor was never in my mind. What was in my mind was addressing at that time in 2014, the Ebola outbreak. When the outbreak ended, due to the work that I had done, really grateful and honored that our former president, His Excellency Ernest Bai Koroma, asked me to lead the post-Ebola recovery team out of State House, which I agreed to do. And it was in that setting, working really for the first time up close and personal, as if I could use that expression, with local government, that I saw what appeared to me to be real lapses, real absence of processes and systems, which were impacting, particularly on sanitation. But I'm also passionate about the outdoors, about trees, hence why, I suppose my route into climate action. But it was really experiencing that through that working relationship in the post-Ebola recovery period that motivated me to run for office. So I guess the cause, the reason remained the same. The journey took on different dimensions at different times and ended up with me running for mayor.
It's interesting that you say that because we can clearly see that it's a continuation public service, whether it's in different settings, it's all the same, helping the community and making society a better place. And the testament that you're giving, I think you are toning down a little bit your contribution. It has been widely recognized, the amazing efforts that you've done, especially for the Ebola pandemic, and also structural transformation happening right now in Freetown. Would you say that you have faced any challenges at all related to the fact that maybe you spend some of your life abroad? Or, I don't like this question, but being a woman in politics and in such a public facing role, do you think that there are any challenges that maybe, you were able to accomplish by this drive and passion that you've had for, transformation?
Namketa, we shouldn't shy away from that question. I remember when it was first asked, the question about being a woman and the challenges that come from that. I remember when it was first asked of me in my initial election. So as you know, I've been re-elected. So this is my second term. But in 2017, 2018, when I was campaigning to be mayor for the first time, I was effectively the first elected female mayor and the first woman to hold a position in 40 years. So there wasn't any recent history. And I was
Yeah.
repeatedly asked, do you think you can do this? Isn't this a job for a man? Is this a job for a woman? And I'm one of four daughters, four girls. I only have sisters. I have no brothers. My parents raised us to believe that we could do anything we wanted. And our gender didn't come into play because there was no comparison. We were all girls.
So you
So
have to figure it out as a girl already.
so I climbed trees, I rode bicycles, I swam, I tobogganed, I did everything. But most importantly, I had the self-confidence of being nurtured in an environment that taught me that there were no restrictions on me based on who I was. So when I was asked that question, I came back at people and I was like, why are you asking me this? I am a professional, first and foremost. I happen to be a woman, but that's not why I'm running for mayor. And that shouldn't be a defining factor. Fast forward 7 years, and I have come to understand why the question was asked. I've come to understand the level of preconceived ideas, of stereotyping, of structural imbalance within our societies that made the question relevant. I've come to understand that, the question was asked because I am often in a room I could be in a room with 20 people and I would be the only woman. So the question is asked because the models aren't there. Enough models aren't there. And because enough models aren't there, belief wasn't there. But what I'm really, really grateful for is that this has been 7 years of delivery, 7 years of establishing that what matters is what you can do. And that is not dependent on your gender. So the narrative has changed. And I am really thrilled because I didn't come into this role thinking that one of my biggest sort of contributions was going to be role modeling to women and girls that they can be whoever they want to be. That has been an unintended consequence, but a very, very special one. In 2022, I started a foundation called Yaz Girls Leadership Foundation, Yvonne Aki-Sawyerr, Yaz Leadership Foundation, really geared towards girls who are between the ages of about 14 and 18, 19. And our motto is simple: give her wings, watch her fly. Because that's all we need. We need our wings. We need the confidence to believe in ourselves. We need the education and the capacity. And we need to have perseverance because we are not in an easy environment, but we're in an environment in which we can succeed. You've talked about some of the accomplishments from launching Transform Freetown, Transforming Lives. Well, initially Transform Freetown, which was my first term. It's now Transform Freetown, Transforming Lives in my second term. But in terms of life changing, life impacting, interventions, Freetown the Tree Town. We've planted 1.2 million trees. And it's not, I told you I love the trees and I climb trees, but it's
Wow.
not just about the trees on their own. They are incredibly important as part of our climate action, part of our move to stabilize slopes and reduce flooding and landslides, part of our move to provide economic empowerment within communities. But most significantly, this has been a huge job creator and a skills uplifter, a skills provider, because every tree that's planted is planted by a community member. It's it's individually tagged. Every tree has a unique identifier code. That information is uploaded onto a digital platform, and the tree's growth is tracked. And the young people are paid for their work in tracking and monitoring the growth of the trees. Now, for the first time ever, we will be the first city to do this. When we succeed, not if we succeed, we are going through the carbon market accreditation process. That's wild, you know? Really exciting because of what it unlocks for our city. We've also built the first, under my administration, the first ever wastewater treatment plant. It sounds bizarre to be in the 2020s and there not be any provision for the treating of liquid waste in our city. But there wasn't. But we did it. We did it. And in doing so, not only are we providing immediate health benefits, because you can imagine when liquid waste is not being collected, that is just seeping into your water sources. You know, it's a real cause of disease. But with that liquid waste water treatment plant, we've also developed very simple technology, which is enabling us to convert the solid waste or the liquid waste, the fecal sludge, into briquettes as a clean cooking alternative. Through the work that we've done, and I say we, I keep saying we because it is a team effort, we have been able to provide an additional 160 water points, water kiosks, jobs for women managing that water, because water is life, and many women are actually attacked and made most vulnerable when they are fetching water. Our interventions with the creation of the first nursery, free education, preschool for the children of market women at the Congo Water Market, the digitization of our property rate system. You know, I came into office in 2018 and there was no internet in my office. I kid you not.
Wow.
We have now
No way.
digitized our systems, that our property rate system, which was on a manual book, is now created. Well, it's a digital platform again, but you know, we initially started with a satellite image of the city. We now actually have just very recently, in the last few months, done a massive drone imaging, which is even higher resolution. So every property is now captured, and the issuance of those property rate demand notices it is now linked directly, or the payment rather is now linked directly to banks that work with us. So massive change, transformations in so many sectors. I must quickly say, because we are women, that maternal mortality, I was able to partner with an organization called Mama Pikin Foundation and raise the $3.5 million needed for us to start our first ever graduate gynecology school. So it means we now have specialized training going on in country, which I was told, and that's the reason why I went out to do it, I was told was the single most important factor to help us reduce maternal mortality, to have our doctors trained locally so we could have more gynecologists. So the list goes on, and I'm really grateful to God for making it possible. But I think what it shows is that where there's a will, there's a way. And what women bring to leadership is the will. And teamwork, our collaborative approaches, our ability, our willingness to learn from others, to be vulnerable, to partner, means that we go further and we go faster. So that there are numerous challenges. And one of the major challenges, sanitation, I should have mentioned sanitation. Sanitation was my issue, right? Sanitation, the trees. We talked about the trees, but on sanitation, we have, again, radically changed the sanitation landscape. In the last few months, we have, after a process which took several years, unfortunately, we have been able to introduce a new bylaw in sanitation. We've brought the private sector in, and we are now, again, with digital technology, introducing an app into the city to our residents, which enables them to register for waste collection, depending on the block that they're in, working directly with a unique or dedicated service provider in that block. We are about to, before the end of the year, we will have recycling contracts signed for both of the existing dump sites, but the challenges have been enormous. And I will just quickly say that the biggest challenge that we face is that the key function of any city government is land use planning and issuance of building permits. Those two functions enable you to control and effectively manage your built environment. And the built environment is critical to the delivery of services of all kinds. Sadly, in Sierra Leone, land use planning and building permits are not with the city. They sit with the Ministry of Lands. And that is a major challenge because we don't know what's getting built, where it's getting built, when it's getting built. We have structures being built in waterways, blocking watercourses, leading to flooding. We have landslides created because properties are built where they shouldn't be on really steep slopes. So the increase with climate change and extreme weather events, the increase of those events, coupled with this lack of planning and lack of building permits, really poses a major problem. Access to vehicles for sanitation when communities are created with no roads creates a major problem. So you're effectively trying to manage a city when somebody else is kind of like putting things everywhere, anywhere, in a really disorderly fashion. So that's a challenge. Being an opposition mayor, being in the opposition party to the central government, that's a challenge. But wherever there's a challenge, there's always a solution.
Absolutely. And we love to say that. We like to say that representation matters, but good representation matters even more. People think that when we demand that women take spaces, it's to just have some token women somewhere, to fill the quota. When we see a woman effectively tackling these big issues in just under a minute, you mentioned so many first times, and it's your day to day, so it might sound like it's really casual for you, but you are literally making history day by day. And listen, you're still one of the very, very few mayors in Africa. And it's good to see that these big challenges that big cities face, you can tackle it with such courage and such vision. And we are here for it. We love it. I have to quickly mention, you are here for a high level forum for women political leadership on Saturday. Can you share a little bit what that represents for you and why it's important for women to have these type of spaces for leaders to come together, not only to discuss and see perspective, but also to have young women who are maybe aspiring for the same things, but are still maybe a little bit reserved or scared to take space?
Yeah, I was in a panel discussion yesterday when somebody used an expression I'm going to use. People are often scared to do something until they see somebody else do it. And this is why these spaces are so important. These platforms are important to give confidence to women out there that it's doable, that when you're sitting in your country, sitting in your city, thinking about that move you want to make, when you're doing it in isolation, you're alone, you might think you're the first and the only one and there's nobody else out there. But when we sit in rooms and platforms like the one that's being created this weekend, it's energizing and it's inspiring. And it gives us the courage to go out there because somebody's done it before. And, I've taken a decision to move further in my service of Sierra Leone. And that's a decision that's been inspired by women who've gone before me. I've declared officially that I'll be seeking the nomination of my political party because I will be running for president. I'm looking to be the flag bearer of the All People's Congress Party.
We are here for it. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy to hear that.
And I do that because Madam Sirleaf did it before me. I do that because, Dr. Netombo did it before me. I do that because we have inspiration from Tanzania and we have inspiration for Ethiopia. So when we sit together in a room, maybe there's a woman out there who says, well, I'm going to go for the mayor, or maybe I'm going to go for the president, or maybe I'm just going to serve in my community. But what these platforms do is give us a space that reassures us that not only are we able, not only have others done it before us, but they have succeeded. And that's what matters.
Thank you so much for being a role model, not just accomplishing these amazing things, but also paving the way and showing that it is possible. I am definitely going to harass you to have you back for a longer discussion about your journey, because I'm really amazed to see all of this. Thank you so much for coming, and we will catch you Saturday for sure.
All right then. Thanks again. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day. And for all of you listening, these types of conversations are exactly why Atypical Journey exists, to highlight the voices, the courage and the vision that inspire us to do more and to be more. Stay tuned. because the journey continues.